We are in Strokestown. Going to take a little walk in the Comrade site viewer. All the masts seem to be up this end, but I'll find out why. Immediately four masts. Strokestown's pretty small, and you'll find this one missing. The imagined 5G mast, which must be there nearly 6 months, is not even on this. So here we go. There's one from 3 GSM UMTS. So the centre of town. There's one from Vodafone. The third one in our list here is another one from 3. And the fourth one's from Meteor. There's a lot of masts in one little area. So let's take a look at the report, see when that was done. Here we go. On the footpath opposite the Central Car Park entrance is where it was done in 2010. A 10-year-old report. Phew, phew, phew. What good is that to us? The radiation levels 10 years ago, probably nothing like they are now. If you look at all the others, they tend to make them a lot higher. So, let's go down and see. There's the centre where the mast was 10 years ago, where they took the reading. Now, as we saw, there's 4 masts in Strokestown on Elphin St. Measurement location there, antennas up there, 4 of them. You wouldn't expect them to be behind a supermarket, but you got to be aware that they very often do target the likes of Centra, which isn't fair. You're getting a lot of exposure. So we'll scroll down and see. There you go. The wavelengths, the 900, 1800, 210. Okay. Now, mean measurement 2, peak measurement 2.45, start time 10:19. From what I see, they do tend to average it out, so it's pretty meaningless. Okay, 2 and 2.45 anyway is all they're going to give you. You can convert them and see. Lovely volts per meter. So, back to site viewer. I'll show you now what the readings mean, and I'll show you the readings I got at the 5G mast. Here we are, Strokestown, the new mast on the water tower at the school, and it's pretty consistently off the charts, both in the estate and behind the estate, walking towards the school. That's the school. Ahead is the water tower. To the right is the estate that I just come out of. Oh God, this is probably the highest one I've seen, because it's just so consistently in every direction. Every direction. So the girl was getting 8,000. Okay, this is Strokestown, the new imagined 5G antennas, but there's obviously a lot going on at this water tower. The houses there and the bedrooms were getting 8,000 microwatts per meter squared. Residents had no say in this. There's schools and community centres and GAA all around. This is now December. research. This is December the 15th in the estate outside the Imagine Masts. Now, most of the estate is, see the peak top left, 1999 means it's over 20,000 microwatts per meter squared. Peak is what you watch because it's pulse modulated microwave radiation. And it's more or less that, the entire estate. People in their bedrooms were getting 8,000. Okay, here's the Imagine 5G mast in Strokestown. It was not on Comrig, if you remember, even though it's been there nearly 6 months at this point. And there's the estate that I took the measurements in. And of course there's a lot of buildings, a lot of activity around here, community centre and other things going on. The residents had no say in this, of course, they're very angry. And there'll be a lot of mass coming in for the so-called gigabit society, where people have no say. They won't even be told, they may not even be listed. So there's a lot going on with this mast, 5G and other G, as you can see. And here I am, just 18,000 microwatts per meter squared. That's 18, 20 and above 20. And when this little trifield TF2 goes above 20, we don't know how far above 20. It could be 30, 40, 100. But certainly 18, 19 and above 20 the entire way around the estate. And up above the estate, down below the estate, across the road the other side, hundreds of meters away, up beside the tower, away from the tower. This is consistently high. I haven't met another mast like that here yet. This is the first one that's been consistently over the 20,000. So it was December 15th. I'd been there November 29th at night time, and I'd been there December 15th, which just happened to be both weekends that they had a Christmas market in Strokestown. So there you go. I'm at a different location there. It's still 13 is pretty high, nearly 14. Remember, it's the peak you're looking at because it's modulated, pulsed modulated microwave radiation. Hundreds of times a second can hit. It's the actual highest peak. That's the most important if it's hitting you like that. And here we have 1999, which means it's gone over 20,000, and there's the tower, like horns, like it's a demonic structure. It's just a horrible, creepy looking structure. One of the creepiest masts I've seen, mind you, none of them are pretty. 17,000 there. So 10 years ago, 2010, very heavy hitters here. Leonard Hardell, surgical oncologist, professor, Örebro University Hospital, Sweden, dedicated to this research. Epidemiological evidence for a health risk from mobile phone base stations, which are masts. This found that 8 out of 10 studies reported increased prevalence of adverse neurobehavioral symptoms or cancer in populations living at distance less than 500 meters from base stations. You will find overall in the research, anything within a radius of 3 kilometers actually is going to be serious. But at this point, 2010, they are requesting urgent surveys of people who live beside masts. Never happened. I've heard of 5 cancer clusters in the last 2 weeks in Ireland, locally. So here we go. This is again from the studies, the research and analysis shows that once you get to over 1,000 microwatts per meter squared, the rates of cancer are very much increased. This is for people living beside masts, because that radiation never ever switches off. Of course, in the gigabit society, we'll all be in a situation of living beside masts with that radiation never switched off, because they're bringing in an Internet of Things, which means your pencil, the baby's nappy, the milk bottle, everything's going to get connected to the internet, and they're going to need an awful lot of radiating devices, radiating microchips, radiating masts and data centers. It's just insane what's coming in if we don't stop them. And that's the whole thing about stopping 5G. So, as you saw, the bedrooms, I gave the meter to 2 houses. get the people to go up and check their own bedrooms, it was 8,000 in each of them. And that's at night time. You're going to see what level it should be at night time. So here we have levels of harm from this radiation. There's two types of harm. The safety guidelines protects you against getting overheated, basically being cooked by heating. We're not worried about that. We're worried about biological harm. The safety guidelines don't account for biological harm because there would be no wireless technology if they did. Because look, a level of 3 causes sperm damage according to all the science, the bioinitiative actually. 30 behavioural effects in kids, 2,000 leukemia, 5,000 is a 3G phone 1 foot from your body, that's on speaker. See, it's the phones, the Wi-Fi routers. So I have another video. Subscribe to my channel, Mary O'Donnell, on smartemf.com or Facebook smartemf, and you'll get a more detailed video where I go into detail on all of this. But this is just at a glance. 100,000 is a 3G phone 1 inch from your head, which is where they're tested. They were never tested here. So 100,000, if 30 is causing behavioural effects to kids, and your kids are spending hours a day on the phone. Do the math. Now the safety guidelines for overheating is 10 million, but remember, we're not talking about overheating. We're talking about biological effects, health effects. So here's Mast's level of harm, living beside Mast. 6, fatigue, sleep problems, depression, focus, memory, brain problems. That's level 6, not 8,000, not 1,000. 6. So 1,300, general lack of well-being, cognition, brain jamming going on, but you'll get that with your Wi-Fi router as well. 50,000, at a level of 50,000, which many of the Masts are, you're going to get within 20 minutes a cell stress response. So if your cells in your body are stressed out, there's only so much stress it can take before illness starts to creep up. And remember the phone we had at 100,000 if it was there, and 5,000 if it's there. So you want to be careful with your devices. Some people have a Wi-Fi router right beside their computer, right beside their head. You get it away, you know. This is where they're supposed to have public awareness. They're supposed to have education. They're just not being responsible at the government level. And government and telecom are sort of hand in hand at the moment. So in the 1990s, 30 years ago, a background level, there was hardly any masts, hardly any phones in the 1990s. That was really the start of it. The background level of radiation was 30. So we're talking at the moment like huge levels. But 30 is what it was when they first started this. Then 10 years later it was what, 500, a factor of 10, 20. But then if you were beside a mast back 20 years ago, you were getting between 1,000 and 100,000. Again, remember your phone there is 100,000. But you don't have it there all day long. If you did, you'd certainly feel it. But the mast, you can't switch it off. But that was 20 years ago. With 5G, it can be 100,000 to 300,000 within 400 meters of that mast. What are the safe levels? Well, there are none. Top scientist Dr. Neil Cherry, he died. He got motor neuron disease as a result of this radiation. He was one of the greatest minds. He's done more research than anyone. He's fantastic. Tried to protect people. He says you got to just turn society away from a wireless direction, but society, telecom wanted wireless. There's big money in it, fast, big money. A lot of fallout, a lot of problems. They could have went fibre, you see. They could go safer routes to internet. It does not have to be wireless. Internet is not wireless, but they're making all of society dependent on wireless. That's the gigabit society. They're making it as fast as possible, pretending it's broadband. There's nothing to do with broadband. So the EU Parliament said a safe level was 100, and you had to sleep in a safe level of less than 10 microwatts per meter squared. The bioinitiative, the scientists, were a bit tougher than the politicians, and they says no, safe is actually between 3 and 6. And this says, of course, if you're ill, 10 is too high. You'd have to be at 1 or less. That's a long way from 8,000 in Strokestown, 8,000 in their bedroom at night time. So nature, 9 places, the decimal point is moved. That's how small it is in nature. The natural background radiation. People say not the physicists, but the telecom engineers will say, oh, it's all the same radiation. It's not the same radiation. You will not download a 4K movie from the sun at any point in time. No data, no pulse modulation. And the building biologists consider anything over 1,000 microwatts per meter squared to be extreme concern. 1,000. We're getting 18,000. Those kiddies outside in that estate in Strokestown are playing in 18 to 20,000 or more. In the bedroom, 8,000. And that could be a child's bedroom, pregnant woman, somebody with a pacemaker. Pacemakers, very dangerous to be around microwave radiation. Here's an official report from a Mast in Australia, just showing the difference. There's the difference in distances. If you're 50 metres out, 200 metres, 500 metres. With a 3G, 4G mast, you were getting 30,000 close up. At the 200 and 300, you were getting a max of 150,000. Phew. Yeah, you could be your office, your bedroom, simply 200 metres, 300 metres away, getting the full beam of that at 150,000, and that was considered fine. Because it wasn't cooking you, it wasn't heating you. They didn't care what it did to your brain, what it did to your sleep, what it did to your circadian rhythm, what it did to your genetics, your DNA, inflammation, oxidative stress. They didn't care about biology, okay? But anyway, with 5G, if you think that's bad, within 50 metres it's going to go up to 300,000. 300, you can double it. And then it's going to be high the entire way. So 5G masts have the potential to be a huge amount stronger. So December 15th, the Christmas market is when I was doing the measurements. These people, great community spirit in Strokestown, they do not deserve to have that put on them so that fast broadband can be rolled out. Strokestown town team. There's no informed choice. People think they're choosing something. They don't know the risk. So here's the top scientist in the world in EMF, radio frequency and biology, saying stop 5G, change the safety limits to account for biology. We're not worried about being heated up. It's the least of your worries is your biological damage. If something's hot, you'll get away from it. Now, 5gappeal.eu, that's scientists again signing to stop 5G rollout because they're increasing this radiation. And we had a level of 14,000, 15,000, 19,000, over 20,000. That radiation penetrates your skin 1.5 centimetres. And in the towns, when they have the small cells, it's going to be absorbed in the skin and eyes. Telecom are saying, yeah, but it won't do you any harm. That's assault, it's assault. I don't want the radiation. It's not for them to say it'll do me harm or not. They're not qualified to know. And these scientists with the appeal and the EMF call are saying it is serious harm. You've got to stop it. It's always been harmful. So who do you believe? The guys selling it or the guys doing the research who have nothing to gain from telling the truth? There's another 5G space appeal.org. I'll give you a good idea of what 5G is. Signed by 200,000 people trying to stop this. Remember, there's now 9 county councils in Ireland have called to stop it, but they're not being listened to. No democracy. And the astronomers have signed an appeal because there's 53,000 satellites going up to give another layer of broadband. It's nothing to do with broadband. It's to do with connecting everything to the internet that we don't need connected. Like babies' nappies and bins will send emails to tell you they're full. Broadband? No, it's not broadband. So did I tell you the measurements? Yeah. In 2010, 10 years ago, the regulator in this country measured outside Centra in Strokestown. The radiation was 2.01 volts per meter and 2.45. Basically, their highest measurement was just under 16,000 microwatts per meter squared. We're getting 20,000 in this estate. Putting a reading on a website, Comreg's website, that's 10 years old, is an insult. It's an insult to this community. It's an insult to the Irish people. 10-year-old. there might not even be a mast there, or if there is, it could be doubled in power. What we're interested in is this one that's doubled in power. On people's door. If that had not been there, these people would not be saturated. And there's no point sneaking one up over there or there or there. This craziness has to stop.